This call is being recorded.
Jazoli Quist, how are you, bro?
Hey, how's it going, Pat?
I'm well. So, for those who don't know, who are you? Who is Jazoli Quist? How do you pronounce your name? Let's get your background and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. So Dejoli Quist, 2012 alumni, St. John's University, born and raised
St. John's?
Yeah, represent. Born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and I moved to Delaware for about a year or so. Spent some time interning within the music industry, interned at iStandard Producers, MTV, Bad Boy, Universal Music, and then I spent the last 3.5 years working in the brand partnership team over at Live Nation Entertainment, and I recently pivoted to a new journey over at Twitter. So that's a little rundown on me, but yeah, glad to definitely talk to you guys.
Cool. So what did you learn working for the labels that was different working for the I guess practitioners, so to speak, with Live Nation and now Twitter in another vein?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So at the labels, it was more hands-on grunt work, right? Really in the trenches with the marketing managers and with the vice presidents of marketing, really doing the dirty work. And I noticed that the labels were more so, I don't want to say stuck in their ways, but they had a formula, right? And they stuck to that formula every single year for every single artist. Where the promo run was essentially the same format and varied between artists and varied between budgets. However, on the Live Nation side, it was a lot more corporate. Dealing with profit and losses. Not saying that they don't do that on the label side, but my specific department was more towards revenue and how can Live Nation make money for the artist and for the company, versus at the labels was the whole focus was pushing out an album and getting record sales. So the work on the label side was a lot more grunt work, but the side of Live Nation was a lot more ideating and coming up with ideas and content versus following a mundane marketing approach. So there's positives and negatives to both, but I can definitely say the label side, working at the Bad Boys and the Universal, was a lot more loose and free, versus at Live Nation, we were definitely more buttoned up and on our P's and Q's. So.
Right. And
yeah.
what was the difference in the outcome, so to speak? And you don't have to go too in depth with this, but did you see that working with a group like Live Nation and putting together concerts was more exhilarating for you, or were you in love with the process of getting an artist to become famous? Like, what did you like?
Well, for me personally, so I worked on the brand partnership team, so the concerts were already essentially in place by the time we were negotiating and the time we were activating these partnerships. I think the rewarding factor of being a Live Nation was seeing a brand essentially align with a certain tour or artist and seeing your idea come to life, right? Or seeing your advertising or your copy or your idea really come to life through a true music campaign. I think that was the rewarding factor, right? Planning something and seeing it in motion and activating on it as well. Because a lot of the times at the labels and in other companies, you're told to just either come up with an idea or just do something. At Live Nation, the planning team essentially and the strategy team, we ideated on content ideas, and we also were able to see them through digitally as well. So really seeing your work come to life is one of the big rewarding factors, I think.
So what made a brand want to align with an artist? Like, what was it? Was it like the views? Was it the hype?
Yeah, so I mean that's a
How
good question, right? Yeah, so it's really a combination of different things. A brand can, a lot of the times the brand managers will have certain initiatives for different product launches or certain initiatives for different products within their landscape. So, for example, you know, Anheuser-Busch, Heineken, Corona, these are all alcohol beer companies, and it's pretty clear that their target audience are millennials, people like us, even people older than us. And what better way to connect
right.
with them through live music, right?
Music.
Something that brings
Well,
all of us together.
sorry to interrupt you. Quick tangent. I went to this startup weekend event, and it was focused on music. And this guy from Coca-Cola came, Joe Belliati, and he said
Okay.
that Coca-Cola was the first company to introduce music as like a PR tool for corporate enterprise back in like the 1800s. It was crazy. But anyways, sorry
Yeah,
if you
man.
lost.
I mean, that's a good point, man. Because music essentially is a passion point for a lot of people. No matter who you are, where you come from, you have some sort of music taste, right? Music is essentially a part of your life in some facet. So brands want to use that passion point to align their messaging or align their product launch with music. Now, when it gets down to the specific artists, it really goes down to the analytics and the research to figure out, okay, who does this brand resonate with? Who are we trying to reach? Are we
Right.
trying to reach Taylor Swift fans? What do Taylor Swift fans look like? Or what do Beyonce fans look like? Or what do Jay-Z fans look like? And do we want to align ourselves with those fans and hit that audience? So it goes into a lot of research and figuring out, okay, who really fits best with the message or the goal of the brand. And I think that was one of the fun parts too, really just kind of working on different brands and figuring out, okay, who does this brand align with? How can we really create something cool and hit their audience via the passion point of music? I mean, we've worked on or used to work on a lot of cool campaigns. I think one of the cool ones I worked on was, I remember Pennzoil Shell had came to us at the time through their media agency to align the Pennzoil brand. For people that don't know, Pennzoil is a auto brand notorious for making car oil and aligning themselves with a lot of auto stores as well. So they came to us and they said, how can we align our Pennzoil brand with music? And our team came together and created an amazing proposal called Backseat Pass, which is on YouTube right now, where essentially we took up and coming bands and placed them in the back of a car, like a big SUV, where they essentially had a mini concert in the back of their car, powered by the Pennzoil brand. And we
Nice.
They shot it in LA. It was all digital, right? So essentially it was promoted on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and it gained over 1 million views. And these are like up and coming bands. I think some of these bands now are pretty big, like Meghan Trainor and a lot of other bands. So just like coming up with like cool, weird ways to just kind of align a brand, and it still made sense with the brand because the brand wanted to somehow fit cars into this program as well. So like different stuff like that is pretty cool. That's just one example of kind of the way we aligned music and brands together.
So when you look at a musician nowadays, are they A, PR tools? Are they B, sacred objects? Or are they C, just independent hustlers trying to make it? Who knows what they're going to be?
Ah, man, that's a good point. I was actually thinking about that the other day. It's kind of like that whole cycle of the artist, right? You had that stage where you're coming up and you're really trying to gain an audience or gain your fan base, and then you gain your fan base,
Right.
and then you have to scale it out and figure out how big it is. And what I saw too was just kind of weird that brands have different initiatives, right? You have some brands that want to align with artists before they get big, or you have brands that want to be safe and say, I really want to align with the biggest artists in the world because I know it's a guaranteed reach. I know I'm going to hit millions of views and millions of people are going to see this. However, some brands want to tell a story. And I think like the cooler brands are the ones that actually are able to tell a story with the artist in the beginning of their path, right? So I know, for example, Kendrick Lamar did a lot of work early on with a couple brands. I forget the names. I'm going to say Mountain Dew if I'm not true, or Rocksmith. A couple small New York City brands, but essentially they aligned with him early before he got big. And some people want to be remembered as the brand that aligns themselves with up-and-coming talent. I know Mountain Dew is actually very popular. Yeah, Budweiser, Mountain Dew, they're very popular with doing that. And it really resonates with the fan too, because it shows your target audience that you care about music, right? You care about the process, you care about what they're listening to. Because sometimes when you're at a concert, obviously the big names are going to be at the big shows, and sometimes you just don't pay attention to it because there's so much going on. But I know if even recently brands are now starting to put out mixtapes. Like the landscape is just totally changing. And picking an artist really depends on where the brand is at and what their essential initiative is, right? So, if you're a Pepsi, right, and you only want to be associated with Bruno Mars because he's performed at the Super Bowl, that's Pepsi's target market. But you also have to realize under the Pepsi portfolio, you have Mountain Dew, which is really known for, like I said before, really going after the up and coming artists, and even creating music studios for these artists as well. So, three, a lot of brands too, what they're doing is actually creating music departments within their company. So I think about 10 or 20 years ago, you would have to rely on a booking agency, or you have to hire certain consultants to really provide your music strategy. But now what brands are doing they're hiring internal teams that are focused on marketing or entertainment marketing, music marketing, and bringing all of that in-house. For example, Amex is doing American Express, which is a campaign I'm working on at Twitter, is doing a whole campaign around Kendrick Lamar and various concerts throughout the country. I think they just did one stop in Brooklyn.
So what does this mean? Yeah, so what does this mean for the music community then, right? Or what does it mean for people? That's the bigger question, because we've said it earlier, music has been around for generations, since the beginning of time, probably in some form or format. And now people are linking it with commerce, they're linking it with behavior. I believe that means that experiences are going to be greater, right? Everything that you do will then have an attachment with it that'll be geared towards making you happy. Now, how do we make this authentic at the same time? Because I think it's a given that's going to happen in terms of the piloting new artists and popular artists for, commercial success. That everyone wants to get rich, everybody wants to be happy, American dream. That's fine. But how do we keep it authentic? How do we make this more of a music-focused landscape? So,
could you explain one more time, kind of just so when you say make it authentic, make the partnership more authentic and less about just who has the biggest, who has the biggest budget?
I guess what I mean is make it so that the people make it so that the organizers are truly backing what they're doing. For the love of their craft. I think you already do have that. You have great people working in these positions, so I think it's a bit more of that. What I'm trying to say is, it's more like making sure that the experience, right, should have been done regardless. It's such a great thing that's going on, that why isn't it happening more? And why aren't we promoting it on other levels? I think right now I'm just going off on a rant and tangent, so I don't know if I'm making any sense. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, as far as the answer, that's been one of the big things right now within the industry and the marketing world is the authenticity, right? And how authentic do from an artist perspective, from a fan perspective, from a brand perspective, how authentic is this partnership? And like you said, like you alluded to before, what is what does this mean for the fan, right? Or what does this mean for the artist? I think,
Right.
me personally, I think it starts with both sides, right? The artist and the fan, right? I think a lot of times we do see examples of where it's not as authentic, or and where you can definitely just tell an artist is doing something to get a check, or the label is really pushing this hard, or a big brand is just throwing an artist money. And I think artists, like, moving forward, really need to make sure that the partnership that they align with, because at the end of the day, they have the say, right? Like, if they don't want to do anything, they're not going to do it. But I think doing something that authentically makes sense and feels right is the future of how we kind of preserve this. So, like, I like to give examples. So
Right.
I think one example of, like, a authentic partnership, I actually have a couple. If we start back in the day, right, we can essentially start with, like, Fubu, right? I mean, the Fubu brand essentially started kind of the authenticity of branding with music, specifically hip hop and fashion brands, because these are artists that already wore Fubu on a day-to-day. I remember LL Cool J was in a Gap music video, and he changed the lyrics from Gap to Fubu, and it just went over people's heads because he was authentic to the Fubu brand, right? These are brands and products that these artists use on a day-to-day basis, so it feels very authentic when it comes time to partner with them. Even with The Weeknd and I think it was the G Pen, or the e-cigarette company that partnered with The Weeknd. It's something that, I mean, this guy legitimately uses on a day-to-day basis. And Mountain Dew with Lil Wayne. I mean, Lil Wayne drank Mountain Dew even before the partnership. So, like, something that's authentic to the artist and makes sense for the brand. I think really, I mean, I think that's the way it should happen, or the way it should be, authentic. But then you have people on the brand side who come up with these ideas and pitch certain artists, like, hey, listen, like, this might be a cool idea. Are you open to this, right? So, I mean, it's different. There's different ways it happens, but the authenticity really needs to remain true. And I think it really starts with the artist, right? Because that's who we look at. That's who we look to. That's the music that we listen to. These are the artists that we look up to. So, if they're able to convey an authentic story to us, that's really, to me, that's how it starts. I mean, I'm kind of going off on a rant too, but I think your whole idea of authenticity kind of really sparked that. So, yeah, man.
Well, so let's talk about the independent artist. I think that an independent artist may want to learn how to progress, in this world. And be known and get Grammys and get all the types of accolades success has to offer. But what separates the people who get that, whatever it is, and from those who consistently just dream about it?
Yeah, man, dude, like, consistency, work ethic, and I would say also building a loyal fan base, right? So, like, the thing is, for independent artists, like, we can look at different examples. Chance the Rapper, independent, successful, right? He stayed consistent. He stayed true to his music, and more so, like, he built a fan base, right? Like, I can't stress enough building that fan base, right? Because the fan base is essentially what makes you, successful. I mean, you could have a hot beat, or you could have, you could be the hottest rapper out now, but do you have a loyal fan base, right? Like, for example, like J. Cole. Like, J. Cole only comes around once a year. He drops one album a year, and he goes away. Then you ask yourself, you say, okay, like, how is this guy able to drop music just once a year, barely does any features, probably does a tour when he feels like it, doesn't do any branding at all as far as like brand partnerships, really just low-key guy. It's because like he stays consistent and he built a loyal fan base, right? And he's not trying to copy anything new. He's being very authentic to himself. I mean, J. Cole fans we both went to St. John's. Like, they come out in droves to support this guy. And it's because, like, they're loyal to his music. And once he built that fan base, he understood his fan base. He knew when to drop music, when not to drop music. And that's why he's probably one of the biggest artists out now. So Chance, the rapper, kind of followed the same format. He built a fan base, right? And you might ask yourself, okay, like, so how do you build that fan base? I mean, you have to be consistent with like your forms of media, right? Like your mixtapes, your online presence, your features, like everything you do has to be strategically mapped out and thought out. Because, I mean, I was working with these artists and I'm not going to say any names, but their whole thing was like, we don't want to put out any music unless it sounds like, like Kanye West, or like until we have like these drums flown in from like Africa. Like they always essentially, like, there was always an excuse of why they didn't want to put out their music. And I told them, I said, hey, listen, man, you guys have some good music. I think you guys really need to put it out and give it to your fans, and that's how you kind of really start to build a fan base and do shows. And some artists don't want to do that, and so it's like a bit of stubbornness. Like some artists are really stubborn, and I get it too, loyal to their craft. But at some point, you have to start building your fan base, because without your fan base, without a loyal fan base, you're not really going to go anywhere. So so those are like a couple big things that I've seen. Also with the shows and the touring, like the shows, you have to do shows because you have to get in front of people. You have to get your name out there, whether it be like little hole in the wall. I mean, Lady Gaga started performing at a hole in the wall bar, right? Now she's one of the biggest artists in the world. And then also too, man, luck, dude. Like, I mean, we have to be honest. We have to be honest here too. A part of it is luck as well, being in the right place at the right time. But you never know when that time is going to be, so you always have to be prepared. So.
For sure. And how do you prepare, really quick? How do you make sure you're doing the right thing? What are some examples of things we've seen successful artists do in terms of how they operate their social media, how they manage like their software in terms of tools that they use to like get even emails done as low as that? Like, what's the game plan for an artist starting out?
Yeah, I mean, we had a good point, like touching on the point, email, or when you said email, like first things first, like having professional presence, right? You want to have a professional presence as far as like your business goes. So like, I mean, even the basic things of having just like your artist Gmail account, right? To being available on all platforms, right? So let's say you come to me and say, hey, like Tijoli, I'm an artist. If I go to Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, and I can't find you, you're not prepared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, essentially, like, you're wasting somebody's time because you're coming to somebody or you're in a situation, you're saying, hey, listen, this is who I am as an artist. But when I go to some of the top artist platforms, you can't be found. Like, so it's important. So when I see an artist that's on Spotify that takes extra time to put their music on SoundCloud, I know it's kind of different with like Tidal and Apple Music, but like having your music available on every digital platform is like very important. And having it professionally done, even from the artwork all the way down to like the business email. Because I mean, I've seen this is a true story. We used to get at Bad Boy, they used to send mixtapes, thousands of mixtapes a day. Not a day, I'm exaggerating, probably a week, to the office. And essentially, we would throw them away because my boss at the time wanted to look through the mixtapes and see, okay, which covers can I use? Like, which ones can I just take out the CD, throw away, and use as like CD covers? But we would keep the mixtapes that had a cool and unique presentation, right? I remember sifting through mixtapes just like as an assignment to like just throw away the mixtapes that just looks like shit or look like you just printed them in your mom's basement, and throw those away and keep the ones that actually look presentable. And if any ones sound good, I could actually present them to the A&Rs. But I mean, so the point is presentation, right? Your artwork has to look and feel like you're here, right? You can't. I mean, I know there are some barriers with financials and having a good graphic designer and all of those things, but you have to envision your artwork as some of the best artwork in the game, right? Your presentation is everything, even from your crew down to the way you appear. I mean, you don't have to have a haircut or anything, but you have to have your own unique look, right? When I look at any artist right now you can name, J. Cole, like they all have their distinct look. I could see them from a mile away and I know who they are, or I could hear their music from wherever and I know who this artist is, right? And so, sometimes too, a lot of it sounds the same. I know we hear that a lot in the industry where everything sounds the same, everything sounds the same. But it's kind of true. So you want to have a unique sound, and you want to sound different than everything that's going on right now. And that's really the artist form, right? That's like, how do you do that as an artist, right? I've been on the business side for a majority of my career. So the artist element of that, I think some people within A&R can speak more towards that. But how do you really just sound different? But I think from a business perspective, like presentation is really key, and being on all the digital platforms that are searchable. To be honest.
Word. Jimi Hendrix, man, he was a god in his time. Taking it off a little bit. Jimi Hendrix, I was talking about that, and you're reminding me of the artist and the artist form and all that. He was someone who was an artist, a true artist for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Question: what are you currently listening to? Like some of your top artists. Like who would you say are some of the artists that are doing a great job?
I would compliment. I don't know. Who do I like? Who I'm listening to? I like Big Sean. That's the first thing that comes out of my mouth. I like that, but I really, really just like Spotify. Like Get Your Mind Right kind of stuff. It's always dope channels. They always got a pick for me. But when it comes to like picking you up, I think Big Sean does a really good job of that. Like he has a lot of great music. One Man Can Change the World is my favorite song of all time. Oh my god, I love that song. He's got a couple new random songs. He's always so uplifting. He's like, I'm gonna go do my shit, bro.
I like Big Sean. I think Big Sean's actually underrated as a lyricist within the within the hip hop community, and it's timing too, because this is a guy that literally his class, right? You have J. Cole, Drake, Meek Mill, Kendrick Lamar.
He's like mellow.
Say who?
I say he's like mellow.
Yeah. He's like mellow, right? You have like all these great legends within your class, and like, how do you really stand out? And I mean, he's not. I don't think he's like so much underrated, but I don't think he also gets the props that he really deserves. And
he deserves.
Wale within the same realm too.
Sure, Wale fell off for no reason though. I liked Wale. I just stopped hearing his music, to be honest. That was it for me. Like I used to hear it all the time.
You just what?
Stopped hearing his music. That was all it was for me. Because like I wasn't really like actively for him, but I did like him a lot.
Yeah, I like Wale, man. I think he's one of the artists that puts out like true good music. I don't want to say I'm biased, but like I like artists who who use live instruments and percussions and drums and sounds. Nothing to take away from like the sound that's going on right now with like the 808s and the
electronics, I think.
Yeah, a lot of the electronics that we hear down south, even up north, to be honest. But I like Wale because Wale and J. Cole in that aspect, they use like the trumpets and in the classical, like, original instruments, to create actual, good music. Yeah, and then I hear a point, man. Sometimes, like, he just, like, drop music, and sometimes you hear from him, and then the next time you hear from him, it's like a big rant. But yeah, I mean, yeah, some of my top guys right now definitely, I would say Drake, Wale. I would put Kendrick up there too, for sure.
Awesome, man. I am gonna call in some guests. Is that okay? Do you have a couple minutes here there to talk to a couple people about some music stuff? All right, cool. Hey, do you guys want to talk? Yeah, no. That's it. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude?
What's up, man? My name is Ramiro. What's your name?
Dejoli.
Oh, Dejoli. Do you remember me, man? Ramiro from St. John's?
Dude.
I think I met you like once. I met you like once, I think, at like this event at St. John's.
It was probably like a panel event, right?
I think so. Did you like also like work with a lot of concerts and stuff on campus?
Sometimes I was there. I was probably present a lot of the times, but yeah,
Nice.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I probably remember you. I saw you. St. John's is a small community, so.
Yeah, we're all St. John's right now.
Cool, man. Well, I'm just here to say, man, like, I hear you're doing some amazing stuff, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. Just keep working hard, and you know what you need to do to get done to be successful, and just keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah, for sure. Like, what's your whole take on, the industry as a whole, where we stand in like 2016, moving out in 2017? I think it's in a positive place right now. I think with Spotify, the whole war between the streaming companies is interesting. How all that's going to play out. I kind of want to just have a conversation, like, what other people think.
Yeah, not for sure, man. I mean, I think like, the interesting thing too about it is that I think, a lot of the people who are contributing now and producing some really amazing stuff are people who like, kind of have been representing like the lower stratum of society and like uplifting the voices of people whose voices haven't been heard for a long time. And I think like, so that's pretty cool. And but also, I feel like at this moment people are daring to like challenge whatever norms they've been like brought up with, and just really create a thing. And it's pretty cool, man. I mean, I have a lot of admiration for those artists because at the end of the day, they're doing something that it would take me a long time to do what they're doing. So if anything, they have more to teach me, in terms of my ability to critique them, because I personally don't create the same sort of like science and art. So I'm not necessarily in a super like privileged position to be able to critique them, because as someone who doesn't in practice like produce that kind of art, I feel like, my understanding is like is affected by that. But overall, I mean, I think there are some obvious critiques, but I do think it is moving in a positive direction. And I feel like people are just really taking steps to really be who they are and just create a space for themselves to grow and develop.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a fair way to look at it.
For sure. But yeah, so it's, I think at the end of the day, I have a lot more to study. It's like, I was watching, can I ask you a question? What would you think about the Netflix series on the evolution of hip hop? What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny. It's funny. I was on Netflix last night. I did not watch that yet.
Okay.
Have you seen the Get
I might actually watch it. Say that again?
Get Down?
I seen the Get Down, yeah.
Get Down is dope.
Get Down
I
is
love
dope,
that show.
yeah.
I can't wait for the second season,
Down,
to be honest.
Isn't DJ Zeke on that?
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's the homie, yeah.
Be.
Yo, shout out to DJ Zeke.
DJ Zeke.
Shout out to DJ Zeke. You're cool, man. Yo, you're awesome.
DJ Zeke, man, that's one guy, like...
DJ Zeke, you were my college experience, and thank you so much for that.
DJ Zeke.
I hope everything's good for you, man. You're a good guy.
For sure he is.
You're a good guy, man. You know, so just keep doing what you're doing too.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. You have not gone to St. John's if you've not heard of DJ.
Right. If you don't know DJ Zeke,
Freshman year, day one, DJ Zeke. Before that, it was Kevin Williams, all right? Wasn't that guy Kevin Williams?
Yeah. College Club Kings.
The College Club Kings. Yeah. Nah, he's cool as fuck, dude. Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah,
I hope
man, shout out to Zeke.
We have a lot of talented people that we, let's just keep doing what we're doing, yo. We know people who like to get shit done and are creative and are doing their own shit, and let's just keep doing, yo. 5 years from now, oh yeah, like we said we were gonna do it, we're gonna do it, you know.
Good.
So it's really just about.
Man. Same to you too, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm sure we're going to each other soon.
For sure. But yeah, let me know what you think of that show. I saw all the episodes, the whole season.
Nice.
It's just season 1, and I thought it was pretty interesting, man. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to. I'm excited to turn it on.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Thank you, bro. Thank you, sir, for doing this. I appreciate you. This is Artispreneur podcast with Jolie Quist, the man, the legend, Ramiro Funes, guest star, Pat DiMattani. Here you go. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man. Shout out to St. John's. I'll do my quick shout outs before I extra real quick. Actually, it's not even really quick, actually. Just shout outs to everybody at St. John's. Shouts to everybody that is currently working on a dream and working to make that possible. I know there's a lot of people I can list right now, but I just want to shout out all those people because at one point we were all in the same position. So that's me. Thanks a lot, Patrick, man. Thanks for doing this, dude. Like, this guy.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
No. I got to say this before I leave, man. Patrick is one guy I've met who's like consistent. We talk about artists in the game. Like, this is a guy that you just know is going to be successful 10 years from now down the road. One of those guys you just want to know because he's just super consistent and always has new cool ideas and just never gives up. So shout out to Patrick and definitely keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Same to you and all.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, DeJolie, be safe, man. Good luck. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, no doubt.
All right.